Young and the Restless 2-week spoilers August 18th to 29th. Lily's deception exposed and Nick's explosive accusation. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. If you're not following us, please reach down and click that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. On Monday, August 18th, Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, are talking about Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, seeming worn down by Damian Keynes, Jermaine Rivers, death and funeral. Nate needs a distraction. He asks his girlfriend about Victor Newman, Eric Braden. Audra tells him that her gut told her it was time to cut ties with Victor. Victor Newman drama and Audra's decisions on YandR. Then Nate stuns Audra and says Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, told him that it was Victor who backed out of the deal. Audra gets defensive, and that makes Nate even more suspicious. Audra tells him to distract him that she's going to take a job working with Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, at YandRCom. Lily tells Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, that she will help him with the kids if he tells her what all he's planning. But he's more interested in talking about a reunion, and she's not. Zane suspects that Lily is playing him, so he turns down her deal. Lily Winter's caught in the middle. Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, interrupts them, and Lily tries to get some info out of him. However, she leaves mad with nothing. Kane tells Holden to add Nick to his target list. Then Kane sets a time to call the kids and face the music. Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, and Nick are discussing Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, staying in Italy permanently. Nick asks Phyllis about Kane and tries to get her to work on Kane to accept his offer to be an ally. Phyllis doesn't buy any of this. She asks if Nick is trying to get her to betray Kane. Nick insists he just wants peace. Young and the Restless, Claire and Nikki talk love and Victor. Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, tells Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, she knows what Victor did to ruin Victoria's love life again and again. She's not going to let it happen to her. Claire is done with Victor. Nikki realizes she can't make this better, so she just tells her granddaughter to ignore Victor and pursue her happiness. Claire tells Nikki she's going to tell Nate what a garbage pile Audra is. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing those words. Phyllis Summers gives advice and Diane Jenkins surprise. Tuesday, August 19th, Phyllis gives Kane some advice that he didn't ask for. It could be about Lily Winters and the kids. When Phyllis was talking to Nick Newman, Lily approached them and was snarking about Kane and the kids, finding what he did unforgivable. Phyllis knows how much her kids have forgiven her. I think for far worse than what Kane has done, just lying about his name if you think about it. Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, surprises Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, by planning a romantic getaway. I wonder if they're finally going to get a real honeymoon, or if it's just local plans in Genoa City. A staycation. They have drinks at the Abbott mansion as Diane surprises Jack with what she's thinking. Holden Novak sparks suspicion and romance. Holden demands to know if Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziade, is digging dirt on him for Kane. We have to wonder if Holden is being paranoid or if he has a reason to ask. Does Holden know that Daniel is the son of Phyllis, one of Kane's new partners? Also, Holden is crushing hard on Claire. He may be totally off Audra now. Holden's really trying to resist because Claire's with Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. And he's focused on his new job with Kane. Audra may be peeved to find out even that Holden doesn't want her now because he was low-key stalking her. She acted annoyed. Audra's ego may actually be bruised if she loses her stalker to Claire and then couldn't seduce Kyle away from Claire. So Audra may be setting herself up as Claire's chief rival, but it may not work out the way she wants. Young and the Restless, Daniel Romalotti, Tessa Porter, and Billy Abbott updates. Wednesday, August 20th, we've got Daniel seeing Tessa Porter, Kate Fairbanks, in a new light. I wonder if she may actually get flirty with Daniel, and if there's some sort of vibe there because Daniel's feelings for Tessa may intensify soon. Also this week, Chelsea Lawson Newman, Melissa Claire Egan, asks Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, about what he's going to be doing since Sally is apparently going to be running YandRCom. Billy tells Chelsea he's got big news to share soon. On Wednesday, Billy is quite angry. He confronts Chelsea and Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, looking for answers. I wonder if Chelsea told Adam that Billy handed control of YandRCom over to Sally, and Adam did a hit piece on Billy about him being a loser before his company even gets off the ground. It sounds like something Adam would do, and that Victor would love. YandR spoilers. Claire Grace warns Nate Hastings about Audra Charles. Claire tells Nate they need to talk. Then Claire tells him he needs to know the kind of person that Audra Charles is. She's going to spill all the beans about the Victor deal, the Kyle seduction, all of it. Audra is going to try and blame things on Kyle to make herself look better, and to make Claire look paranoid. Audra may say, "Oh no, there is no deal. Kyle was just trying to seduce me and I rejected him." I don't think any of her scrambling, lying, and denying is going to help. Young and the Restless. Nate Hastings and Devin Winters catch up. Thursday, August 21st, Nate updates Devin Winters, Brighton James, who is just back from his trip to see Anita Dupree, Tamara Tooney, over on Beyond the Gates. I'm sure Nate is going to talk about Damien's funeral and Amy's struggling, and what Audra has been up to with Kyle and Victor. The guys talk at society. Jack offers Kyle some fatherly advice and wisdom on Thursday, likely about Claire, Victor, all of the above. And speaking of the mustache, he makes a decision that is going to shock everyone. I wonder if he is going to take Victoria's advice and tell Claire that he will accept her and Kyle. If he does, I don't buy it. The mustache makes a game-changing decision. Friday, August 22nd, Nate demands the truth from Audra Charles. No more BS, no more lies, the truth. Just let the chips fall where they may. I would still be shocked if Nate got the full truth out of Audra. Phyllis Summers gets her first work assignment from Kane. I wonder if it's going to be to spy on Nick, which might work out just fine since Nick has approached her about Kane on Young and the Restless. Audra Charles's scramble and Phyllis Summers' dangerous game. The week of August 25th through the 29th, we've got Audra scrambling. Of course, she wants to keep Nate. She already lost the hope of having her company. I'm sure Audra's not going to give up on Nate without a fight. He's surprised. Of course, Audra is going to blame Claire and Kyle and Victor and anybody but her own actions. She likely won't stop until she gets revenge. Also, Phyllis Summers is playing a dangerous game. We have to wonder, will she really betray Nick for Kane? Unlike her kids, Daniel and Summer, I do not think Nick would forgive her. This is a deal breaker if she does it. Young and the Restless spoilers. Victor Newman's strategy and Claire's doubts. Victor is strategizing. I suspect he's going to keep trying to undermine Kyle while acting to Claire's face like he's chilling out. Speaking of his granddaughter, Claire is uneasy. All this stuff with Kyle might be too much. I wonder if Claire has some residual doubts about Kyle. Had always been a city of secrets, lies, and power plays, but no one expected the storm that was about to hit the Abbott and Newman families. For months, Lily Winters had been carefully weaving a web of deception, hiding a truth that could shatter more than just her reputation. And when the bomb finally dropped, it wasn't just whispers and rumors. Nick Newman's fury was about to ignite, and no one would remain untouched. It all began with a chance discovery. Victoria Newman, ever meticulous and endlessly suspicious, stumbled upon a series of emails and documents that didn't quite add up. At first, she thought it was just another of Billy's corporate maneuvers, but the trail led straight to Lily. The evidence was damning. Financial missteps disguised as innocent business decisions, messages erased from company servers, and a trail of lies that suggested more than just negligence. Lily's carefully curated image of perfection was beginning to crumble, brick by brick. The confrontation was inevitable. Victoria, shaking with a mix of disbelief and indignation, marched into Crimson Lights where Lily was meeting with her legal team. "Lily," she said sharply, slamming the folder down on the table. "Explain this. Now." Lily's face paled, her usual calm demeanor slipping. "Victoria, I can explain." "Explain." Victoria cut her off. "You've been hiding this from everyone, from your family. From me. How could you think this wouldn't come back to bite you?" It was in that tense moment that Nick Newman arrived, drawn by the commotion. His expression darkened as he glanced at the folder. "Lily, what is this?" His voice was low, dangerous, a warning and a challenge all in one. Lily tried to maintain her composure. "Nick, it's not what it looks like. I made a mistake. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. I didn't mean." But Nick wasn't listening. The fury in his eyes burned hotter than the Genoa city sun. "A mistake? Lily, this isn't just a mistake. This is deception, pure and simple. And you've dragged everyone into it." Victoria interjected, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Nick's right. You lied to your own family. How long were you planning to keep this from us?" Lily's hands trembled as she tried to find the words. I just wanted to protect everyone. I didn't want to hurt anyone." "Protect?" Nick's voice rose, echoing across the cafe, drawing stares from curious onlookers. "By lying? By betraying everyone who trusts you? You've crossed a line, Lily. And now everyone will pay for it, especially me." The accusation hit like a lightning bolt. Nick's eyes were blazing, and the air between them seemed charged with tension. He stepped closer, his voice now icy, cutting through the room like a blade. "I trusted you. I believed in you. And this deception, this manipulation, it ends now. Explain yourself, Lily, before I do something we can't take back. Lily's composure finally shattered. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at the man who had once been her closest ally, her partner in navigating the labyrinthine world of Genoa City. Nick, I didn't want this. I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just managed everything quietly, no one would get hurt. Nick shook his head, unable to hide the mix of betrayal and rage. No, Lily. You thought about yourself. You thought about your own comfort, your own pride. And now you've jeopardized everything. Our families, our businesses, everything. At that moment, Billy Abbott arrived, drawn by Victoria's earlier call. His gaze shifted between Nick and Lily, a mixture of shock and concern on his face. Nick! Lily, what happened? Nick's glare hardened. Billy, I don't even know where to start. Lily has been deceiving everyone, us, our families, even you. And she's been doing it for months. Billy looked at Lily, whose face was now a mask of shame and desperation. Lily, is this true? Lily nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Yes, it's true. I didn't want to admit it, but I can't hide it anymore. I messed up and I'm so sorry. The room fell into stunned silence. For a moment, it seemed as if the world had paused, holding its breath, waiting for the fallout. Then Nick spoke, his voice low, controlled, but filled with a seething intensity that could not be ignored. Sorry? Sorry doesn't fix anything, Lily. Sorry doesn't undo the damage you've caused. You've played with trust like it's a game, and I don't do games. Not anymore. Victoria, her eyes narrowed, added, Nick's right. This isn't just about business or even family. This is about integrity. And Lily, integrity is something you've thrown out the window. Lily's shoulders slumped, her strength spent. I know. I accept whatever consequences come my way. I wanted to make things right. But Nick wasn't finished. Making things right. Lily, you've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I need to know everything. Every lie, every cover-up, every secret. And then we'll see if redemption is even possible. The tension between them was palpable, a high-stakes standoff that had the entire cafe on edge. Friends, colleagues, and strangers alike watched as the fallout from Lily's deception unfolded in real time. Secrets that had been buried for months now hung in the air, threatening to shatter the delicate balance of relationships, business deals, and family ties in Genoa City. Later, in the safety of the Newman mansion, Nick confronted Lily privately. The quiet of the room did little to calm the storm brewing inside him. Lily, I can't believe you. I really can't. I thought we were partners, that we had each other's backs. And you went behind our backs, manipulated the truth, and put everything at risk. Why? Lily's voice was barely a whisper, thick with regret. Nick, I wanted to protect everyone. I thought if I handled it alone, no one would get hurt. But I was wrong. I see that now. I failed. Nick's jaw tightened, his fists clenching at his sides. Failed? You've done more than fail. You've betrayed everyone who trusted you. And trust isn't something you can just fix with apologies. Lily's eyes filled with tears and she reached out to him, trembling. Nick, I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I'll face the consequences. Just don't shut me out completely. Nick looked at her, the storm inside him still raging, but beneath it, a flicker of the man who had once loved and trusted her remained. Lily, I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. But we'll see. For now, face the music. Deal with what you've done. And maybe, just maybe, we can start to repair the damage. As Lily left the room, the weight of her deception heavy on her shoulders, Nick's mind raced. Genoa City was a city built on secrets and power, and he had just witnessed one of the most explosive betrayals in recent memory. One thing was certain. The fallout from Lily's lies would ripple through the Newman and Abbott families for months to come. And for Nick Newman, one thing was clear. Deception might be part of Genoa City's fabric, but betrayal, especially from someone you love,
Genoa City
had a way of turning ordinary days into extraordinary chaos. And for Victor Newman, drama seemed to cling to him like a second skin. Lately, the patriarch of the Newman Empire found himself ensnared in a whirlwind of corporate battles, personal betrayals, and family tensions that threatened to expose vulnerabilities even he couldn't control. At the heart of this chaos, one unexpected figure, Audra, was emerging as a pivotal player, and her decisions could very well tip the delicate balance of power in ways Victor hadn't anticipated. Victor Newman had always thrived on control. Whether in the boardroom or at home, his presence was commanding, his voice decisive, and his reputation untouchable. But the recent turn of events at Newman Enterprises suggested that control might be slipping, and for Victor, that was unacceptable. Business rivals were circling like vultures, family alliances were fraying, and whispers of secrets long buried were resurfacing at the worst possible moments. Yet even amid this turbulence, Victor's sharp mind and indomitable will kept him one step ahead. Or so he thought. Audra's entry into this volatile equation was nothing short of electric. Known for her intelligence, determination, and at times surprising ruthlessness, she had quickly established herself as more than just another player in the Newman family saga. To Victor, Audra was a wild card, someone whose allegiance was uncertain and whose decisions could either fortify his empire or topple it. She had shown moments of loyalty, moments of rebellion, and most intriguingly, moments of moral reckoning that left Victor questioning not only her motives but also his own. The tension between Victor and Audra reached a boiling point during a high-stakes board meeting. Victor, accustomed to dominating conversations and dictating outcomes, was confronted with Audra's unexpected resistance. Her voice, calm yet firm, cut through the usual hum of corporate chatter. "Victor, this isn't just about the bottom line. It's about people. It's about the future you claim to protect, but keep putting at risk." The room fell silent. Colleagues exchanged nervous glances, while Victor leaned back, a rare flicker of surprise crossing his usually impassive face. He had underestimated Audra's conviction, and more importantly, her willingness to act on it. Her words weren't just defiance, they were a challenge, an assertion that sometimes even Victor Newman needed to consider the human cost of his ambitions. For Victor, this was a crossroads. His instincts screamed to silence Audra, to assert control and crush the challenge before it grew. Yet part of him, buried deep beneath layers of pride and calculated strategy, felt a grudging respect. Audra's decisiveness reminded him of battles fought long ago, when allies had turned adversaries and the stakes had been life and legacy. He realized that Audra's decisions weren't just affecting business, they were testing the very fabric of his family. Meanwhile, Audra herself faced her own internal struggle. She had always been fiercely independent, but navigating the Newman world required more than intellect. It demanded emotional acuity and moral courage. Every choice she made carried weight, rippling far beyond her own life. Aligning too closely with Victor could compromise her integrity, yet opposing him recklessly could destroy opportunities she had fought years to secure. Her dilemma became even more acute when family ties intersected with business. Victor's children, each with their own ambitions and grudges, watched Audra closely, weighing her influence on their father against their own interests. In particular, the younger Newman generation, who had long alternated between reverence and resentment for their father's domineering presence, viewed Audra as both a potential ally and a dangerous disruptor. They wondered, could she be trusted, or was she destined to become another casualty of Victor's complex empire? Audra's critical decision came in the form of a calculated, yet emotionally charged confrontation. Victor had proposed a bold corporate maneuver, one that promised to secure Newman Enterprises' dominance, but risked devastating smaller family-owned businesses in the process. Most executives would have followed without question, but Audra hesitated. She studied the proposal, weighing the numbers, analyzing the risks, but also considering the broader implications for the community and for Victor's legacy. The tension between them reached its peak in Victor's office, a space filled with the weight of history and the echoes of decisions past. Audra's voice was steady, but her eyes revealed the depth of her conviction. "Victor, I can't support this," she said, her words deliberate, cutting through the thick air of the room. "Not because it's risky, but because it's wrong. There are lines we can't cross, no matter what the prophets say." Victor's initial reaction was anger, a flash of the formidable force he had wielded over decades. "Audra, this is business. You think you're saving anyone? This is survival. Newman Enterprises survives because we make the hard decisions." Audra met his gaze without flinching. "And survival isn't just about profit, Victor. It's about integrity. It's about the people who trust us, who depend on us. If we forget that, everything else crumbles, including our legacy." For a moment, the room seemed to suspend in time. Victor's mind raced, wrestling with pride, strategy, and the unaccustomed sting of doubt. Could he truly afford to ignore Audra's warning? Could he afford to risk alienating the one person willing to challenge him? Not out of malice, but out of principle? In the end, it was Audra's unwavering stance that forced Victor to reconsider. He had faced countless threats, rivals, and betrayals, but Audra's influence was different. It wasn't rooted in fear or ambition, it was rooted in conscience. And that was far more dangerous to Victor than any corporate adversary. Her decision to oppose him, to insist on doing what was right rather than what was expedient, became a turning point. As Victor stepped back, a rare acknowledgement crossed his expression, a silent nod to Audra's courage and insight. He realized that power wasn't only about control. It was also about understanding when to listen, when to adapt, and when to trust someone willing to speak truth to authority. In that moment, Audra's choices were not just shaping the future of Newman Enterprises. They were shaping Victor himself, challenging him to reconcile ambition with responsibility, dominance with empathy. Yet, Genoa City never allowed for easy resolutions. Outside the office, rivals were waiting, family alliances continued to shift, and the consequences of every decision loomed ominously. Victor knew that Audra's influence, while stabilizing in some ways, also introduced new uncertainties. Could he trust her fully? Could she navigate the treacherous waters of Newman politics without becoming a casualty? Only time would tell. For Audra, the path forward was equally fraught. She had proven her courage, but the choices she had made had drawn attention, both favorable and dangerous. Aligning with her principles had empowered her, yet it had also placed her in the crosshairs of those who thrived on manipulation, secrecy, and the ever-shifting loyalties of Genoa City. She would need to remain vigilant, calculating, and true to herself if she hoped to survive, and perhaps thrive. Lily Winters has always been a woman of conviction, balancing her heart and mind in a city where deception, betrayal, and ambition lurk behind every corner. But lately, it seems that no matter how carefully she treads, she finds herself ensnared in a web of conflicts that are far larger than anything she has ever faced. Genoa City's power plays, family secrets, and romantic entanglements have a way of pulling even the strongest individuals into impossible positions, and Lily is no exception. It all began with a seemingly innocent conversation at Crimson Lights. Lily, a successful businesswoman and devoted mother, was discussing her latest marketing strategy for her fashion line with a client when she overheard something that made her blood run cold. Whispers of betrayal involving the Newman family. Victor Newman's latest manipulations were reaching far and wide, and her close friend and ally, Kane Ashby, had become an unwitting pawn in Victor's schemes. Caught in the middle, Lily realized she had two choices: ignore it and stay neutral, or step in and risk everything. The problem? Neutrality wasn't an option. Being in the orbit of Genoa City's most powerful families meant that every move she made, or failed to make, would have consequences. And as someone who had survived heartbreak, professional setbacks, and personal betrayals, Lily understood that sometimes survival required decisive action. The stakes escalated when she discovered that her own family might be implicated. Devin Hamilton, her brother-in-law and one of the city's most respected figures, had inadvertently uncovered a secret that could destroy a career, a marriage, or even a legacy. Devin, ever the moral compass, wanted to protect the innocent, but he also understood that the truth could be weaponized. Lily, caught between loyalty to her family and her instinct for self-preservation, found herself in uncharted territory. Lily's heart ached as she contemplated her position. Her husband, Kane, was being pulled into Victor's manipulations, and her sister, a steadfast moral voice, pleaded with her to stay out of the chaos. But staying out wasn't really staying out. In Genoa City, silence could be as deadly as lies, and Lily knew this better than most. Every choice she made would ripple through the lives of those she loved, forcing her to balance moral obligation with personal risk. One evening, after a particularly tense day at work, Lily found herself at the Abbott mansion, a neutral ground where she could gather her thoughts. The Abbott family, with their own intricate dynamics and business entanglements, offered a brief respite from the storm. But even there, Lily couldn't escape the whispers and stares. Jill Abbott, perceptive and experienced, could read her unease immediately. "Lily, darling, you're carrying more than your share of trouble," Jill remarked gently, offering a comforting hand. "You can't fix everything alone." Lily appreciated the words, but knew that this was a trial she had to face head-on. She couldn't ask for help. She couldn't fully confide in anyone. Her mind raced with the possibilities. Should she confront Kane about Victor's schemes? Should she warn Devin about the potential fallout of his discoveries? And what about her own moral compass? Was it better to protect the innocent, or was she being drawn into a game where morality had no place? The tension reached a boiling point when Victor Newman himself appeared unexpectedly at her boutique. His presence alone was enough to make the staff nervous, but Lily stood her ground. Victor, always calculating, spoke with a measured tone, praising her work before casually dropping a warning about family loyalties. Genoa City is a city of choices, Lily, he said, his eyes glinting. And sometimes you have to pick a side, whether you want to or not. It was the ultimatum she feared most. Victor's manipulation wasn't about overt threats. It was psychological, a subtle push to test her limits. Lily, however, had survived manipulations before. She knew that bowing to fear would cost her more than it would gain. Yet, standing firm wasn't without consequences. Kane had been secretly working to uncover Victor's next move, and Lily's silence, or misstep, could compromise him. Her heart tightened as she realized that no matter what she did, someone she loved would get hurt. As the days passed, the pressure mounted. Lily tried to mediate between Kane and Devon, carefully weighing every word. Her business, her friendships, and her family all became arenas for conflict resolution, negotiation, and delicate diplomacy. But Genoa City didn't forgive mistakes. One miscalculation, one misplaced trust, and her world could unravel. It was during a particularly heated confrontation between Kane and Victor at Crimson Lights that Lily finally made her decision. She would no longer remain passive. She spoke up, her voice steady but firm, cutting through the tension like a blade. Victor, enough. This ends now. I won't let you use Kane or anyone else as your pawn. There are lines you do not cross. The room fell silent. Even Victor, master of manipulation and intimidation, seemed momentarily taken aback. Lily's courage gave Kane the strength to stand beside her, and even Devon, hearing her resolve, realized that sometimes the greatest power lay not in deception, but in truth. Yet, Lily knew that being caught in the middle wasn't about winning a single battle. It was about navigating a world where every decision could ignite new chaos. She would continue to be a bridge, a voice of reason, and a protector of those she loved. But she also understood that Genoa City would test her at every turn. Power, betrayal, and ambition would never rest, and she would need to be ready. As Lily walked out of Crimson Lights that evening, the city skyline glowing in the distance, she felt a strange sense of calm. The storm wasn't over, but she had taken her stand. She wasn't just a woman caught in the middle. She was a force, navigating the treacherous currents of loyalty, love, and morality with courage and clarity. And in a city like Genoa City, that was more than enough to make a difference. Caught between love and loyalty, family and ambition, Lily Winters had proven that even when trapped in the crossfire of Genoa City's endless conflicts, a strong heart and clear mind could make all the difference. She had found her voice, her strength, and her purpose, not just as a mediator or a caretaker, but as a woman unafraid to stand in the middle and face whatever came her way.